You're listening to the Decentralized Talk Podcast, your crypto connection.
Decentralized Talk. Decentralized Talk.
All right, guys. Welcome to another outstanding episode of the Decentralized Talk Podcast. This is our 27th weekly show now in production, and we are growing week over week and month over month once again. Last week was once again our best week ever. It's getting incredible, and we really appreciate everybody out there. Appreciate all the love and support. We got even more great content coming for you in this episode as well. As always, we have our massively popular 3-on-3 Fast Break segment. We're talking about Colossus XT. We're talking about Genesis Vision. We're talking about Loyal Coin. We're going to do a spotlight on Tron. Tron's been huge buzz over the course of the last week. And with the big growth in Bitcoin since its recent lows, we're excited to see what happens with Tron. We want to know what Tron is, and we want to help you find out what it is because you need to know what Tron is. And I'll just leave it at that. Also, as an added bonus, we're going to be covering some of the regulatory action that's been bubbling up as late to make sure that our listeners are abreast of the growing and changing regulatory climate as we move into the ETF packages. This is not investing advice. This is just our opinions. Please do your own research when investing in cryptocurrencies. All right, now it's time for our first segment up. It's called Don't Hate, Regulate. And it's time for the regulators to mount up as we talk about the U.S. regs.
Regulators!
It was a clear white night, a clear black moon.
I don't think those are the words. Close enough, though.
I don't even know what y'all are talking about.
Hey, riders roll. Trying to put some skirts for the eve so I can get some phones. Rolling in my ride, chilling all alone. Just hit the east side of the ETF, which was shot down repeatedly by the Bitcoin regs. I might, I don't want to lay it down. I don't want to lay it down too hard. It's crypto freestyle.
You can't give it to them just free like that.
Original content.
You got, hey, look, y'all hit this up on, y'all catch my spot down at Music Coin. Okay, peep this record. I'm selling it on Music Coin and at your local Walmart in a parking lot out of the back of my truck. All right, let's talk about ETFs. So ETFs are getting shot down repeatedly. Prater, tell me what that's all about.
I guess first I want to kind of say, for the people who don't know what an ETF is, it's an exchange traded fund. There's
not electronic traded fund, just for everybody's.
Yeah,
everybody tries.
That's why I said exchange traded fund.
Everybody tries. Everybody tries to call it an electronics traded fund. I hate that. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, but so it's just a fund of a tradable security, tracks an index, a commodity or bond, or basically any kind of asset.
I'll kind of chime in here. So from what they have, what the SEC has come out and said is one of the reasons that they are denying these ETFs is a few reasons. One is there's no real regulation with these markets. There's market manipulation, which kind of plays into, because there's no regulation, market manipulation is easier. Those are really the main two reasons that I've seen the SEC come out and say why they're shooting down these ETF proposals, which is not surprising. But at the same time, to me, it's like if you're going to say that there's no regulation and that's the reason that you're shooting down these ETFs, if you approve an ETF, then it's going to make regulation more inevitable because the government will see that as a valid investment and start to proceed, get the ball rolling on regulation faster than they would if there was no ETFs. At the moment they kind of see it as this Wild West still, and if there were ETFs out there, it gives it validity in the space for regulation to take place. That's kind of my take on it.
Because most or all ETFs right now are currently, trading SEC or CFTC regulated assets.
Exactly.
So
I mean, the kind of regulation in ETFs, they kind of go hand in hand. It's like if an ETF get approved, then regulation will become inevitable. And same thing, if there's regulation, an ETF will become available.
Right. So it's a cycle.
Technically, there are some ETF-esque coins, and I know you've done some. You even did a report on one on CoinEdify, I think, where they basically combine different crypto assets. I know it's not a Bitcoin ETF, but it's kind of a crypto, almost an ETF. It's not. You can't trade it in your 401k. It's not legitimized through, and verified, but it combines different coins into one investment vehicle, I guess. And I don't remember what they were called.
Was it?
I forget that was so long ago.
It was an index fund.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, that's the biggest
Crypto
thing.
20. It was called Crypto 20, where it basically takes the top 20 cryptocurrencies and divvies them up by percentage dependent on like what their percent returns are for that given week.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, everybody's saying, regulation. There is some regulation on cryptocurrencies currently, just because of laws and stuff that's out there right now. I mean, it's not specific regulations set in place for the products, specifically. But if you look at it as any sort of asset or investment vehicle, there's regulations on anything in that respect. So really, there are regulations on crypto. They're just very vague at the moment.
Well, yeah, it's hard to do. Like when you're talking about like a commodity item that's traded. You talk about pork bellies or some kind of a food product. It's easy to come up with a regulation because you have environmental regulations around the growing or the agriculture aspect of creating that commodity. You have regulatory opportunities around the distribution, the aftermarket, end user. There's a lot of places you can stick a regulation in and it helps the government put pressure on different facets of the market so they can, they can basically control pieces of it, or at least they have at least some control over it. I think that makes them feel a little bit more safe. Something like Bitcoin, I don't know what the regulations would be on Bitcoin. Now, other cryptos like Ethereum, they can strong arm Ethereum, and they've already tried, right? They've already tried to put pressure on not only Ethereum, but the Ethereum ecosystem, and try to take them to court. And, different lawsuits are flying around to try to figure out what exactly Ethereum is, how should they classify it, what will it be classified as in the future. But for Bitcoin, I think that's going to be the most challenging one. Well, I don't know do you guys know what the regulations would be if you're going to put a regulation on Bitcoin? Where they would regulate it at?
How are you going to tax it?
I think
the biggest thing.
And how you're going to protect investors. I think it's really important for them. And I think that's just kind of the problem that they're running into is what's the plan, and how are they going to regulate it? Because when you have a decentralized asset like this, that's on a global scale, you can't just talk about regulations with the United States. You got to talk about China regulations, Japan. Every developed country that's going to be investing in this asset, they're all going to have their different regulations. This isn't just the U.S. stock market.
It's like the internet.
So yeah, exactly. So it's like, how do you regulate the internet? And it's going to be tough, and it's going to be a slow process.
But it really mirrors the internet more than any sort of asset at this time for regulation purposes, or at least I see it that way. How is the internet regulated is, I think, going to come down to kind of how Bitcoin's going to end up. It's going to be regulated by a bunch of different firms, bunch of different lettered organizations in different ways, but they can't the regulation is going to be superficial because you can't really do anything about a decentralized cryptocurrency.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
Well, I think if they do it like the way that they've tried to kind of regulatory creep that's existed with the internet, it seems to me that what they would do is so like the internet, they regulate the ISPs, right? So the internet's still free and clear. The internet is still decentralized. It is.
They
It's
regulate the miners.
though they could regulate the miners. They could regulate GPUs. They could regulate ASIC cards. They could regulate things kind of before you can ever mine it. They could regulate electricity usage at a certain point, which, I mean, electricity regulations are already some of the most, I guess you call it intrusive regulations. California, New York, your electricity is highly, highly, highly monitored. If they wanted to do something like that with cryptocurrency, that's one way that they could definitely start a regulation process. But I think right now, I mean, you regulate them hard. I think the big thing is it's like trying to catch we're in Texas for everybody. I'm about to say this. It's like trying to catch a greased pig because America regulates the hell out of electricity or miners or GPUs or processing companies. And then they just,
bellies.
Okay.
From that pig you caught.
For that pig you caught. And they grease it up. And then what do? You move to the British Isles. Okay. Well, they regulate you at the British Isles. Okay. Well, I'll just move my servers to wherever. I mean, Antarctica. God, that's the best place to go to, isn't it?
not if you're starting a cryptocurrency podcast.
Look, we're having a child.
What I find interesting too is you see disagreement in the SEC too, because so they denied 5 ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs this week, including the Winklevoss twins. This is the second time that they've tried to get an ETF approved. But the SEC commissioner, Hester Pierce, she has come out. She's an advocate for cryptocurrencies, and she came out after they denied the Winklevoss's Bitcoin ETF. She came out as in opposition of that decision. She said, quote, I'm concerned that the commission's approach undermines investor protection by precluding that greater institutionalization of the Bitcoin market. More institutional participation would improve many of the commission's concerns with the Bitcoin market and that underlie its disapproval order. So basically, she thinks that the Bitcoin ETF would, in the crypto market in general,
legitimize it some.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Bitcoin ETF would give it validity in the space, and cryptocurrencies are an innovation. She's come out and said that that by denying these ETFs and denying legitimization of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, you're really not protecting investors. You're hindering innovation in technology. And that's kind of like banning certain websites when the internet was up and coming. It's kind of the same thing. You're slowing innovation by not approving and regulating the space when you have the opportunity, because it's inevitable that eventually a Bitcoin ETF is going to happen. Eventually, there's going to be regulation. It's just get on board and start the ball rolling.
And what happens if the Asian markets or European markets create an ETF?
Exactly, and I think that's where
they just let it trade on its own, or if they just trade Bitcoin by itself on the market. Anything that will put it in people's 401ks is going to explode it.
Well, yeah. Well, it's also gonna, I think, stabilize the price some. I think it's
definitely
dramatically because so much is going to have to be owned by that the ETF fund, and they're going to have to actually hold the Bitcoin. So that's going to take a lot of it off the market.
Yeah, but think about how the price jump that's going to do, because the ETF, they're going to have to have that many Bitcoin on hand, on reserve, which obviously would jump the price up, and take a lot of Bitcoin off the market. Yeah. So, I mean, and another thing, like we've seen this not tremendous jump in price, but about 40% up from 5,800 to 82, 8,500 in the past like 2 weeks. And most of this, I think, is from anticipation of the ETF filed by CBOE, the Chicago Board of Option Exchange. And that one has yet to be approved or denied. Now they did, like I said, they denied 5 of them this past week, but they still haven't decided on the CBOE one, and that's kind of the big one that everybody's anticipating. So the decision on this one is going to be huge, because I think the run up in price right now is people anticipating that it's going to be improved. And if it does, obviously the price is going to skyrocket. If it doesn't, the price is probably going to drop back down to, that $5,000 range. So it's, there's a lot riding on this CBOE ETF.
Cool. That's a lot on ETFs. NASDAQ holds closed door meetings regarding cryptocurrency legitimacy and regulation. What's that all about?
Just another thing that is legitimizing the cryptocurrency space. I love reading articles like this, because you can see slowly that more and more people are really seeing this as something that's not going away. Cryptocurrency is not going away. Bitcoin's not going away. Ether is not going away. This is something that's real, and it's not just some bubble that happened last December and is now crashing down to zero. That's not happening. So the fact that you see NASDAQ having meetings about this is, it really shows that this is a valid thing, and more institutional investors and more, big money investors are seeing that this is a real thing, and they're trying to decide how to go about getting into it, how to protect investors, and just, how to take this market, how to approach it really. And that's kind of what they were speaking about. And now we kind of can go off of rumors only, because this came from an anonymous person that was in the room with them. But yeah, supposedly they were basically talking about how to deal with liquidity, how to deal with the protections like theft, fraud, lack of custodial services. So they really just had a meeting to discuss how to approach this whole digital currency market.
So this is, I guess, the conspiracy theorist in me and the libertarian in me. That I just don't understand the publicly traded NASDAQ, for all publicly traded companies, has to hold closed door meetings to discuss crypto regulation, legitimacy and regulation. And it's all this stuff. So everybody out there who's listening, who understands the kind of small government or no government riff that's basically generated the cryptocurrency market, lend me your ears. This is like the first steps to totalitarianism, right? To taking over. This is how they do it. It's all for your safety. It's all, they don't want to make sure you don't get hurt. Listen, this is just, these regulations are to protect you, right? These soldiers have guns to protect you. Yes.
No, I totally agree, and I think that's why a lot of us are in cryptocurrency, because of thoughts like that. And yeah, the regulations, I mean, in one aspect, they can protect people, but I don't think that's really the government's reason behind regulation for most things. It's to control them, not to protect people. It's to have that control in case they need to pull the plug on it or something like that. But that's a great thing about cryptocurrencies, is because they're decentralized, there's no plug to pull. They can regulate it how they want, but ultimately they're not going to have power over it. They're not going to have control over it. But what we see with the executives, the NASDAQ executives talking about this is just, more and more people are starting to see that this isn't going to go away. So how do we approach it? How do we get in on it? How do we get
I
our
think that's the
investors
biggest
in on
thing.
it?
NASDAQ is how do we get in on it?
Yeah.
Because how are you going to trade it on? Are they going to pull it into the S&P 500? I mean, what are you going to do?
Exactly. What it shows to me is just
Well, I don't think they couldn't put it in the Dow, the S&P, or the NASDAQ because those are all American.
it would have to be a separate thing.
It would have to have its own.
It'd be more of a forex.
Yeah, I think it would be probably something like that.
They'd have to show it. They'd have to show it on literally Bitcoin by itself would have to. So that'd be crazy too because they really couldn't trade it on.
You could. It would trade on the forex market. It would almost have to because it would just be like any other currency.
I think that makes sense.
I think what's really cool to see though is like in 2011 you didn't see NASDAQ talking about cryptocurrencies. In 2014 you didn't see NASDAQ talking about cryptocurrencies. In 2017 you didn't see NASDAQ talking about cryptocurrencies. But slowly but surely we're seeing big institutions, Wall Street investors, more and more and more people seeing this as a legitimate asset class, and we're just watching we're like watching a little baby learn to crawl and then take its first steps. That's basically what we're experiencing here, and I think it's just really, really exciting to be.
I think that's a good analogy.
Space.
And right now in the process, it's vomiting all over us, and
yeah, some days
we're constantly having to clean up shitty diapers.
But talking about the NASDAQ, did y'all see Facebook stock this last week?
Oh yeah,
Did you hear about that?
Yeah, and it's a good week to be talking about Tron because of this.
It dropped $1 billion in a day.
Yep.
$40 off the stock price.
Crazy.
In one day.
Crazy.
Biggest drop ever for stock.
Well, it launched at like $42, didn't it?
What, Facebook?
Yeah.
Like back in the day for its IPO?
Yeah, back in the day, or like what it was like 6 years ago, or whatever, 8 years ago.
I feel like it was probably lower than that, but because it's what it
Well,
hit.
then I guess it was 45. I think it was $45 that day. That day it was $45.
45, yeah.
What are the thoughts on why Facebook dropped so much? Is there a reason for that, or?
Well, I mean, people have their reasoning, but couple of reasons. One, their subscriptions or their online user logins have dropped. So like 3 million less people are logging on daily in Europe, and the United States and Canada, it's kind of flat. The projections for their future earnings was cut in half. So they've been doing about 40% growth year over year, and they're projecting 20%, I think, for the next 5 years, which is still pretty good. But the thing is, it was for that big of a drop. It had to be institutional investors that sold out, basically.
Yeah.
So they're basically seeing, or from what I've read, seeing that information and pulling out when that's not even what really drives Facebook anymore. Now it's Instagram and WhatsApp. Those are going to be.
Well, that's what I heard, that it would have been worse if they hadn't have purchased Instagram and WhatsApp, because Instagram is really what's keeping them afloat.
Oh yeah, they're growing while Facebook's not.
Instagram's the most popular social media platform right now.
Yeah, well, they have a good algorithm for digital marketing, social media marketing and stuff that helps them a lot.
Facebook is basically printing money right now. It's ridiculous with the ad revenue that they've got and everything.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, not only that, apparently they had some false growth from the whole, what was the scandal they had recently with the information?
The Cambridge Analytica?
Cambridge Analytica. Ever since that, they exploded in price over the last few months, and kind of, I don't know, were potentially overvalued. So all of those things kind of led to the one-day tanking.
Plus, it's the centralization. When Facebook first started, it was this blank MySpace kind of wannabe thing. The And me and Heston were talking about this because, and Prater, you were at A&M when it first launched, huh?
What? MySpace?
No, Facebook.
The first telephone?
Well, I know me and Heston were talking about this the other day. He was at Baylor. We actually tracked this down. Baylor
I don't
actually,
remember.
I stand corrected. Baylor actually was accepted before Texas A&M. It was also a university before Texas A&M, I think. It was like the first university in Texas, or at least that's what their billboard says. Anyways,
I don't know if that's true or not.
they said actually that they were a university before Texas was a state. So it would have been hard to be called Texas A&M before it was a state. So I'm assuming that Baylor's before it. Anyways, so this is the same. I mean, this is the same thing. It started as this kind of like wiki, kind of everybody adds their own piece to it, and now it's molded into this bureaucracy nightmare of like checks and balances and keywords and strokes and privacy issues and manipulation. And I think people are sick of it. It's just, this is the natural flow of all things. The internet goes the same way. Facebook goes the same way. Eventually these people try to find a way to stick their claws into where the money's at, and they're power hungry, and that's the way things go, which once again is why I'm such a big advocate for Bitcoin. Not a maximalist, but that's why Bitcoin is better, because there's no head, there's no organization, there's no board of directors, there's nothing. Just
Shaft and balls.
And I already planned on talking shaft and balls. I already planned to talk about Facebook when we get to our coin focus on Tron. So we'll be talking a little bit more about Facebook later in the podcast.
I did some research. You were correct. Baylor is the oldest university in Texas. It was chartered by the Republic of Texas in 1845. So it's not even a legitimate university, because it's not even a thing anymore.
It's not even real. There is a lot of doctors in Houston who are
My
shocked right
student
now.
loans beg to differ on if it's legitimate.
I wouldn't even pay those.
I wouldn't even pay. Yeah, student, you have to be a school to be a student. For the record, Baylor actually does keep like a bear in like a concrete drainage ditch on campus.
They do.
Sounds awful.
It's actually
For the bear.
It's unsettling. It is.
So,
He's just right there on campus in a big concrete ditch. Anyways, let's talk about Tron then while we're talking about regulation. Hesto, you picked Tron for this week, so give us a breakdown, give us the lowdown, the quick, the what is it, the Cliff Notes? Is that what they call it at Baylor?
Yeah.
the Reader's Digest version.
So, I mean, let me first start off by saying I think Tron is one of the most ambitious projects I've ever seen in the crypto space. It's also, I think, one of the most speculative at this point, one of the most speculative projects I've ever seen, just in regards of the hype around it, and that has always been around it.
Are you going to go through and tell us everything that Tron wants to do? Because, that's going to be like a 45-minute intro here.
There's no way.
It's crazy.
So, at first, when Tron first came out,
I like how this is turning into like a Southern Baptist church.
Like Baylor?
It's like, no, Heston's like, hey, Tron is coming out with some ambitious stuff, and then Pete goes, that's right,
brother.
Amen.
Tron is the future. Tron will make the internet 3.0.
And it helped
Tron
you
will
again. Get off the island.
Tron will give you life. Tron will give you breath. Tron will save your soul. So, Tron,
incredibly offensive.
Tron basically, I mean, I can't even say basically. They really want to do a whole lot of stuff. When Tron first came out, I thought they were trying to be decentralized, like they were trying to decentralize the media entertainment industry. And I really thought it was going to affect torrents and how people watch movies, the entertainment industry in general. But their goals are broader than that. They're really trying to decentralize the internet. That I don't even know how else to say it. So there's so many things that they're trying to do. They are trying to decentralize the media industry, but they're also trying to decentralize content creators, how content creators get paid. So which would affect social media highly, Facebook, Instagram, all those things like that. And we've talked about other cryptocurrencies that are trying to do almost the same thing with, Steemit, Minds. There's a lot of decentralized social media platforms out there. And Tron, that's just kind of one tentacle for the Tron octopus.
That was kind of their original tentacle.
Yeah, exactly. And they've kind of branched off since then. Now they market themselves as like an Ethereum competitor, which I don't think that's their best bet. I don't really think they should market themselves like that. Now they are trying to be a platform where you can create decentralized apps and smart contracts. And originally they were an ERC20 token, but their mainnet launched on May 30th or May 31st, however many days there are in May, I'm not sure. So they have their own blockchain now. They're not an ERC20 token. How many?
22.
So they do have their own blockchain. But the thing that gets me with Tron, okay, and they're really ambitious, and because of their team, they might be able to pull all this stuff off. But it's going to be so far in the future. I mean, I think this is one of those 10-year projects here, just because of how many things they're trying to accomplish.
What's Tron trading at right now?
3 cents.
4 cents?
Yeah.
And what out of how many? Is it a
billion trillion?
Is it one of those? Yeah, where it's
it doesn't have that many.
Like 69
it's a Google quad. So it's a Google quad trying to. To me,
this is off topic, but a number I heard last night, quintillion. You ever heard that?
Yeah,
I've heard of a quintillion.
Maybe that's it, quintillion. Yeah, that was like how many ants there are in the world.
Well, that's like 5. You got a trillion, quadrillion, and quintillion.
Or when a Puerto Rican girl turns 16, quintillion.
I don't think that's right.
A party.
I think you're mixing up a quintanilla. What is it?
Yeah,
quinceañera and a cotillion.
Yeah. So I mean, their circulating supply is 65 billion right now.
Oh, I was damn close. I said 69 billion.
But I think what Tron should focus on, instead of dApps and being the Ethereum killer and all this, I think
listen up, Tron.
I think, yeah. And you can, anytime you want to hire me on as an advisor, Tron, you go ahead. I'll
log into Music Coin because he doesn't do this shit.
Justin's son, give him a call.
Yeah. I think really what they should focus on at this point is the social media aspect, because so many people are turning away from Facebook. So many people are turning away from YouTube. They're going to look for a social media platform, where content creators get paid, rightly for the content that they create. And coming from, me and 2 other people that are content creators, it would be nice to be compensated justly for the content that you create, instead of going through a big corporation like Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or something like that, where it's kind of funneled through the corporation, and they're making so much revenue off the ads that they produce that you pay for anyway.
And you're getting a very small percentage of that.
Exactly. So I think Tron should really at this point focus on that instead of saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Those are all great things, but at the end of the day, you can't do all that in 1 year. So focus on
thing, do it well.
right now. Exactly.
Expand from there.
I think that's what Tron should do, but right now it doesn't seem like that's what they're doing. I think they're just like, look at all these things we could do.
At the risk of always being the one who picks the other side,
That's good.
I think though
We gotta always have somebody's wrong.
I just think that the crypto space is moving so fast right now, and so many really brilliant people with lots and lots of money are building incredibly talented teams, and you can't just do one thing and do it well, because you're going to be left in the dirt. You're going to do one thing super well, and everybody else is going to do it a B plus and have 15 other things that they do a B plus as, and you're doing this as an A plus. And they're like, okay, well that's tight. That you're a super fast coin. Our transaction speeds are 0.03 seconds. That's awesome. Okay, well everybody else's transaction speeds are a little bit slower. They're 0.09 seconds. And so to me, it's like, that's anecdotal, but I want to see a coin that right now in the Wild Wild West is dipping their hands into a million different things, and they're finding the soft spots, and they're finding where they can achieve kind of some kind of individuality or some kind of uniqueness.
Well, I think that's necessary for some coins. It's depending on what they're doing. But the reason I think it would work for Tron is just look at some of the social media platforms out there. I mean, you've got Facebook, that's a multi-billion-dollar company that's just a content company. I mean, it's a social media platform.
They're like an ad algorithm company. And that's
Snapchat, Twitter, all of these. Those are independent companies that are, making
they're just sharing content. That's all it is.
Yeah. So I understand where you're coming from, Tater, and I agree. I think a lot of the coins really do need to have a wide array of things that they're doing. But in the social media and the decentralized entertainment industry, there's nobody in there that's really sees the day and has something, that's a good product that can compete with these centralized platforms. I mean, Steam It is okay. Mines is all right. But there's nothing that people are flooding into. And if you catch that market and, market something that people are going to flood into and start to utilize, and you don't have to do anything else. You'll get $1 billion valuation in a week if you could steal some of those.
So I don't see Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. I don't see them as content sharing companies. I don't see them as social media companies, networking companies. I don't see them as any of that. I think that's a surface level kind of a facade. What they really are is data mining companies.
Exactly.
They're just really clever ways to get you to give them your data for free. And there's nothing
that's where Tron, that's the problem that Tron could fix right there. Mm-hmm. Is that content creators would be in charge of their own data. And that's kind of what that's another claim that they're saying that
that's also the thing that kills them, because the thing that makes Facebook, the thing that makes, I own a business here in Houston. The thing that makes me use Facebook as an advertiser is because I can go into Facebook and target my marketing to the exact age, gender, interest, and like I can base it on their keywords. Same thing with Google. When you build a Google ad, you can target a market, which is incredible. So when you've got let's say you've got $10,000 to spend on advertising revenue for your monthly budget, you've got to put that in a targeted place. You can throw it on a radio station, but then if you have a hip hop product, if you're selling Jordans, okay, well, then you need to be on a hip hop station. It doesn't make any sense for you to try to sell your Jordans on an oldies country station. You're gonna waste it. So what Facebook allows you to do and what Twitter allows you to do is they mine everybody's data. They know exactly who you are, and then they can take that information, that content, and put it right directly on their screen.
I couldn't agree more. However, in this internet 3.0 age, where you would be is that instead of having that data mined without your knowledge and without your agreement, you could allow that data to be mined and allow that data to be public for advertisers to obtain.
No, it is already,
and be compensated for it.
Yeah, but see that I think that's the problem is that nobody's trying to get somebody to pay individually for that data is probably not going to happen.
Well, right now, if you run an ad on Facebook, you pay for that ad. You're paying Facebook to run that ad. Well, wouldn't it be better to pay the person that's seeing the ad instead of paying Facebook?
No, I think I totally agree in the concept.
That way the person
I think the concept makes sense.
Giving up their data would be compensated directly, and then you would be contacting them directly.
But who pays for the server space for the ad to sit on? And who pays for the coding for the ad to reach that person?
Well, it's decentralized, so nobody does.
That's impossible. Somebody has to pay for that.
You pay for it. You pay how I would imagine it would work, and I don't know, but you would pay the storage. So I see it as being like either a miner or a staker is going to hold the data probably, and they get compensated for holding the data, the blockchain, and the information provided on it, which would be your ad. So they're going to get a portion of it. You're going to get a portion of it. The person who reads it is going to get a portion of it.
So that's interesting. So if there's miners out there that have a library of, I don't know, some swath of the population's
information
breakdown, you know what I mean? Yeah, their
well, it would be encrypted.
Their shopping habits and that kind of stuff.
So, well, it's encrypted, so it's not like they can see that data.
So okay, so
I see where you were going with that.
Yeah, but okay, so let me get to. So I mean, maybe we're kind of breaking it down here, but so what it seems like then is I place an ad, then it goes. Some miner basically generates it, generates the access to the data and the storage for the data. So I pay for that. I'm compensating the miner. The miner never actually sees the data, but he has it. He holds it and kind of he's the gatekeeper for it.
Technically, Tron is all pre-mined.
Yeah, well, is it proof of stake though? Because so the miner would be staking their coins. That's how they would.
I guess.
That's how they would be like validating or storing the data.
I don't know. My favorite thing about Tron is their CEO.
I was just about to say, like, we can't go like move on from Tron without talking about Justin Sun.
I'm sorry to change the subject, but I mean yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, Brandon, do you have any
sorry
words on that subject about data, the controlling of data?
No, I think I think I just need to do more research and find out.
Yeah, because I don't know how that works, honestly.
How it goes around.
I think it would work.
Because Facebook and Twitter, they do a good job. They build back on top of themselves. So as they learn you better, they put more ads and more content that you actually eventually it's more stuff that you really like.
I agree. I totally
start looking at ads
with,
and like, oh man, I am looking for a kayak.
Nobody can argue with the convenience factor of large corporations owning your data and knowing everything about you.
So then how do you get the idiots to stop accepting that? Or the lazy. You know what I mean? Because it actually takes somebody to say, I've got the mental courage to say, I don't want someone to take my data. And I think that what Facebook and Twitter have proven is that there are
people don't care about privacy.
There's enough people that would trade their privacy to see what their high school girlfriend is doing now.
Well, I think that's why it's going to be a very slow process. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. What's going to happen, I think, is more problems are going to come out like Cambridge Analytica. And what that showed, if you would have been on, if you were on Facebook during that whole Cambridge Analytica data leak and it really showed how the information can be manipulated and fake news can be just processed on Facebook and other social media platforms would, in that space and Facebook during that time, you saw a lot of people coming out disagreeing with Facebook, saying that, they're going to move to another social media platform, but it was only a small percentage of people. But I think as you see that small percentage of people move away from Facebook and Instagram and into something like Tron or some, other decentralized social media platform, those people aren't going to be on Facebook anymore, right? So you're not going to see their baby pictures or the family photos or whatever, which would in turn make another small percentage of people move to a decentralized social media platform, which in turn would, make another small percentage. And so those small percentage would slowly be leaving Facebook. And then, eventually it would cascade into more, almost everyone moving away from Facebook, just like they did MySpace.
I think it's generational too, to an extent. So
I agree with that.
Our generation was more of the Facebook generation. This next generation is going to be the Instagram generation. The generation after them might see more of the decentralized.
It's just going to be emojis. They're just going to shoot emojis at each other through brainwaves.
But yeah, with all that being
it'll
said,
be interesting to watch. I think it'll be really interesting to watch where social media goes in the next 10 years.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's going to Tron and Justin Sun.
Yeah. Let's talk about Justin Sun, because I mean, when
more than Justin Sun, I'm more excited about Jack Ma.
You ain't kidding, Alibaba.
Jack Ma, but yes,
Jack Ma.
I'm a big fan of. How can you not be a big fan of Jack Ma?
I'm a huge fan of Alibaba.
I'm a reader.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Alibaba too, because I own their stock. So
as do I.
I love Alibaba, but yeah, Brady, you want to talk about Justin Sun a little bit?
Well, yeah, he is. He's the protege of Jack Ma, like we had mentioned, who is the creator and founder of Alibaba, which is similar to Amazon. It's a little different in the actual
their executions,
delivery of the product and how it works out. And not to mention that they own a whole bunch of other companies too, not just
well, not only that,
online.
but on Alibaba you can order I was looking at the other day. I was looking at a man lift.
Oh yeah, you can order, and
they don't compete with their $40,000 man lift, and they ship it to you. It takes like a month.
Yeah, no, it's and it has just been blowing up. So, Sun, he's only 27, and he was in Forbes 30 under, China 30 under 30, and Asia 30 under 30. So he has a pretty impressive resume. Founded Peiwu app, which is basically Snapchat for China.
Yeah, it's already got 15 million views. Point.
So I mean, he already has background in social media platforms, and he was the chief representative for Ripple in China. Mm-hmm. So he's got cryptocurrency background as well. Not just him though; they've got a pretty solid team, and they've got backing from a bunch of really high players in the technology game in China. I mean, if as ambitious as they are, they definitely built a team that could potentially deliver on that ambition if anybody could do it.
Oh yeah, no. Justin Sun has a ridiculous resume. One thing I thought was interesting is that he was handpicked for the Jack Ma Hupan University thing. They have a lower acceptance rate than Princeton. It's really hard to get into that university, and he was handpicked to.
It's crazy. He's also a really good marketer. He is out there. He is pushing his product. He's never. You always see something coming out from him about something.
And did you know Tim Berners-Lee is part of their team too? Does anyone know who Tim Berners-Lee is?
I did not.
He invented the World Wide Web.
Oh yeah,
in 1989. Yeah, he is. I mean, they got an all-star team, and I think so. My theory on Tron here is you see Tron is sitting at the number 11 spot ranking with market cap, and that's a huge advantage for them when, we were just talking about social media and stuff, that's a huge advantage of them just because they're in the spotlight, So right now they could focus on just social media and it would work out for them because they're just in the limelight being ranked so high. And there was another point I was going to make, and now I can't remember it. Oh, no. Okay, my theory here is when Tron was announced, and this is not a old cryptocurrency. It's been around since 2014 or something like that. This is a
17.
new one. This is a new cryptocurrency. But when it was announced and stuff, it just skyrocketed up instantly and way overvalued. Just because it was like a thought in someone's mind. That's all it was. And since then, it's tanked. But if you can, its ranking by coin market capitalization is still really, really, really high. And I think that is because a lot of people bought it at its top and are just holding it right now. A lot of people sold off because they lost a lot of money. But I think there's a whole group of people that are just holding and will continue to hold for 10 years. I'm one of them.
Are you guys holders of Tron?
Yeah, not much, but a little bit. I'm so underwater on it right now that I kind of have to hold it.
I have $5 worth of Tron, I think.
Yeah, I don't have much more than that, honestly. But
3 cents. That's a lot of Tron.
I
lot of dimp.
I just see it as one of those super long-term things. I mean, if they're really going to accomplish all these things that they're setting out to do, and they got a long road ahead of them, I think it would be best for them. It would behoove them to focus on one thing.
I was reading.
They got one of the best teams in cryptocurrency. I mean, you can't argue that at all.
They don't want you to buy and hold their coins either, though. They want them to be traded through the platform. I was reading that somewhere. So they kind of tried to deter hodlers somehow.
Well, they probably should have deterred all those people overvaluing it when it first came out, because Justin Sun was tweeting out this is going to be the new internet, and yeah, he kind of really hyped it up.
You see where he's got this new thing that he's got a secret project coming out from Tron?
Yes, I was going to
tonight.
Yeah, I was going to get there. I think it does. It comes out tomorrow.
Did it already come out?
Yeah. No, it comes out.
No, it said it comes out the 29th at 7:30. I thought it was the 29th at 7:30 Pacific.
Maybe I could have sworn it was on the 30th, but maybe you're right. It's definitely somewhere around there. No, it says it's July 30th. Because that's when they're launching the Tron virtual machine, which they're going to announce the secret project too. Could be an ICO that's going to be launched on their platform, since they are going to, start doing that. Who knows? Who knows what that's going to be, this secret project. Pretty interesting though.
Yep.
And they
marketing genius.
They celebrated their Independence Day. They launched their mainnet. They also burned 1 billion Tron. So, I mean, they're doing things. They're definitely doing things.
They're doing stuff.
They're making moves.
Well, maybe this is the time. I mean, it's 3 cents. 3 cents for a coin. Maybe this is the time to get in and kind of get in. Still, hell yeah, really.
No, I mean, this is an investing advice, but I would say if you're somebody that doesn't mind holding a coin for 10 years, oh yeah, get on this bad boy, because if they can pull off half the things that they're trying to accomplish, they're going to be a big one. But it's just one of those things. It's like Tron also has so many haters around it, and it also has so much hype around it. And I'm usually not somebody that, I stray away from the ones that have a lot of hype around them, because usually that's all they have is hype. But this one, it just has such a good team that maybe the hype is justified.
With any coin with that much hype and that much hate and that low of a price, probably, other than having this badass team behind them, is going to end up on the 300 level market cap. Which brings us to our 3-on-3 fast break. That's where each week we pick 3 coins from the 300 level market cap, and we make our pitch for that coin. We're going to give you an overview of the coin. We're going to talk about the price, the market cap, the supply, what does it do, and what potential does it have for the future, if any. All right, who wants to go first?
Uh,
I'll go first. I don't care.
Go for it.
Your time starts now.
All right, guys. My coin of the week, my 3-on-3 this week is Genesis Vision. It has a market cap of 30 million, 3 million circulating supply, 4 million total supply. It currently trades at a little under $8, and the website is Genesis.vision. It trades on Binance, Ovis, Hotbit, KuCoin, and HitBTC.
All the greats.
All the greats. So basically, what it is it's an investment platform where you can choose people to invest in. So they have investors and they have managers. And so the managers, and they actually rank the people. So if you're a broker or like a licensed investor, it'll show you. Or if you're just a everyday investor, kind of like we are, it'll show the users what their, I guess, credentials are. And it'll show you the history of their investments to show what they've been doing. Like if you were to go on their website right now, you would see, I forget the guy's name, but he averages 41% gains over the life of his investment cycles.
His username is B Madoff.
Yeah. And you can invest in him. You can invest your money in his investments and get returns from that. So basically, it's a decentralized platform for money managers, I guess is the best way to put it.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah, and they actually have a product up. You can invest in these people. They invest in anything from the Forex to the stocks to crypto, and you can you buy their coin, the GVT token, and invest in the managers, and that's basically all it is.
So it's almost like an index fund for a specific investor, right?
The investor creates the index fund pretty much, and you give them the time frame you want to invest in that person, and you can see their investment history and how good they are, and you choose if you want to invest in their index fund basis.
So it's like, almost like if you go on TradingView and you look at Magic Poop Cannon and you can kind of look at his investments and manually invest in those, but this kind of does the hard work for you. Like it does the hard work for you. So if you like that person's investments, they're making that's an interesting one. I'm actually going to do some research on that one. What's that called again?
Genesis Vision. I already signed up for an account.
Their website?
Genesis.vision.
Okay.
You down with GVT?
I actually made a decentralized talk account. So we have an account on there now. It should have went to info@decentralizedtalk.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, my coin is not as interesting.
I figured we could make our own index and have people invest in our picks.
Ooh, they're not going to want to do that.
We just won't let you pick anything, Heston.
Yeah, that's probably a good decision. So my coin, not near as interesting.
I started your time when you started that sentence earlier,
Okay.
So you're already like 25 seconds deep.
Shit. All right, mine is called Loyal Coin. It is basically decentralization of loyalty programs for businesses. So how it works is not fully known by me because they don't give a lot of information on their website. From what I understand, is companies that have loyalty programs, they're using Loyal Coin to work that peer-to-peer transaction. So like say Your little coffee shop has a loyalty program where when you purchase, a coffee, you get a punch on your little card. It works kind of the same way. When somebody comes in, they can use the Loyal wallet to purchase the cup of coffee using whatever currency they want: Bitcoin, Ethereum, US dollar, Chinese yuan, or whatever they use, the Thai baht, whatever currency you want to use. And the app has atomic swap to use whatever cryptocurrency you want to use. And then, so you purchase the cup of coffee, and then you're compensated with Loyal coin. And also the merchant is compensated with Loyal coin. So it's like a customer reward program with cryptocurrency. And to me, honestly,
my data mine.
Yeah, my honest opinion on this is that seems like one of those industries that doesn't necessarily need blockchain. And you see this a lot with these 3-on-3s, I think, is like, does this really need to be blockchainized? Nah, I don't know. It seems like the loyalty program thing works okay for now. The loyalty program, you get points for this, or you get a punch for that, or you do a survey and you get points. It doesn't seem to be a huge problem with that. That needs digital currencies. That's my honest opinion on it. So, I mean, do they have a use case? I don't know.
Are they doing atomic swaps now? Is that what they're claiming?
That's what they're claiming. But the problem is that I found, I couldn't find the app. I don't think it exists. So they say, just download our app.
Dude, I swear I do atomic swaps. I swear.
Yeah, I didn't find it in Google Play, iTunes, or online at all. So I don't know.
Well, that was exciting, ladies.
It's on the Tron App Store.
The Tron App Store, known as the Trap Store.
Ooh. See what you did there.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to start my time now. Colossus XT. Are you ready for Colossus XT? You probably are. Or maybe you're not. Colossus XT, COLX, Colex, which Colex right off the bat reminds me of something you take for irritable bowel syndrome. It is 0.001247 USD currently. Here we are in the summer of 2018. It's up 14.58% today. That's why I picked it. It was the biggest earner on the 300 to 400 level market caps. This is the coin for every idealistic 19-year-old getting into cryptocurrency just before they go to their Antifa rally. The website is https://colossusxt.io. It's got a 13.7 million market cap, 11 billion circulating, $11,000 in daily volume. I did not see where it was tradable. I couldn't find it on their website. The big claim to fame here is that it's energy efficient, decentralization. They didn't mention how it was energy efficient, which again, I hate when coins do that. Basically, they say we're energy efficient. Well, I mean, you're energy efficient over, GPU or CPU mining of Bitcoin. Yeah, okay, I bet you are. I don't know what that means. You have to go into more detail. They're a coin that's all about decentralization, man, and they're all about privacy, man, and they're doing proof of stake 3.0, man, and it's an intelligent masternode, man, and the entire website is about. I mean, you watch their video. It's about it's about a voluntary. So there's a Colossus grid. Which rewards individuals for voluntary grid contributions, which is just a really shady way, in my opinion, of saying giving you money for nothing. That's what a voluntary contribution is.
Well, shit, I like that.
Yeah. Well, no, it's asking for you to contribute voluntarily.
Oh, wait. I don't like that.
Well, it's constantly focusing on the greater purpose
Yep.
and connecting the world.
Don't you love that? Like, how many of these 3-on-3s do you look at and they're like,
It's
we are the
all
world's first
yes.
digital currency, decentralized, giving the
Yeah.
power to the people.
Power to the
Like-
people, power back to the world. By the way, we need your voluntary grid contributions. They also have a prefab merch store, so check that out on their website this time.
Sweet.
Not too.
Oh, their masternode costs $12,000 also currently.
No,
It's a-
let me
it's
just
10
pull that out of my
10
wallet.
10 million colex, which sounds like that's enough to stop you up for a couple of years. All right, guys, you got anything more to say on decentralization or on regulatory bodies?
I mean, honestly, I could talk for probably 6 hours about ETFs and regulation, but we'll save
I
that
mean,
for
things
another.
things that are interesting.
No.
Funny. All right, guys. Hey, look, it was a good show. Thanks everybody for joining us once again. I think that about wraps things up for this episode of the D.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
add, like, I really appreciate all our subscribers out there. We're loving your comments, and yeah, keep subscribing. If you listen to us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell too, so you get every episode that we come out with.
Love it. And be sure to tune in next week while we attempt to interview somebody for something. And I got a hint for you. It's going to be big-ish.
No, we actually do have a real big episode in the works here, so can't tell you what it is yet, but just stay tuned.
It's going to be our biggest episode ever. We hope. We hope. Well, we've been on a great track, guys, and again, we really appreciate all the love and support. So stay tuned, man. It's going to be at the same decentralized channel, same decentralized time. Yes, I stole that from Batman. Luckily, Adam West has passed, so I'm probably not going to get a lawsuit.
D-Talk.
Which is totally legit now. Check us out. Be sure to send comments at DTalk Podcast on Twitter and Facebook, guys. Check us out on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and MusicCoin. Links to the website in the description below. Stay decent, cryptos.